Hey everybody, we're glad you're back because he's back too. Mr. Man About Town, our community connoisseur, always trying to explore how to live life to its fullest. We're talking about only one guy I know fits that model. Candid, uncurated, authentic, curious, informative, diverse. Must be the Raad Life. Back and we're ready to roll, but guess what? There's no Raad Life. We're still waiting for him to join us here. Let's see if he's finally going to come in here. I think he finally made it in. Let's see. Let's let him into the Zoom room here, and he'll love it. We started the show. Just remind him we started the show without him here. As he's coming in. Meanwhile, let's bring in our guest, and you can because he's always terrible at introducing his guests here. The Raad Life. We've been rolling for 2 minutes. Where's the Raad Life? He's connecting.
What do you mean, where's the Raad Life?
We've been connected. We're going. The show's on. It's running. The first question is, where in the world is Raad Gantos?
I'm actually in the hospitable space of Tangram Interiors off Birch Street, and they've allowed me to to use their space here. I was meeting with the guy who runs the place, Joe.
Okay.
Who was a fellow guest with me on a show at Cal State Fullerton a year ago. So
okay. Well, we did that. Sorry, we didn't mean to do that. No, let's go back to this. Here we go.
A lot of Joes in my life today, Joe. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, we didn't get to bring in your guest. We gave you the big introduction. We played the music. We played everything here. Remind everybody who Raad Gantos is and who'd you bring with you today? Who's living life to its fullest today?
Are we live right now?
We're live. We're on the air, baby. We've been rolling. We're not waiting. Joe and I decided. We said we can sit and wait for Rod, or we can get the show rolling. We rolled, so we're in the middle of it.
So who do I have with me today? I mean, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Joe Burke. I mean, where do I start? Right? I mean, my brother from another mother. Honestly. Right, he's shaking his head.
I agree.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have matching leather jackets, dude. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, right? I mean, we should have warned them. Well, yeah, it's still too warm. But no, Joe is a gentleman that I met a couple of years ago, and it was instant bromance. And the man is very, very interesting, to say the least. I will just say he's been on the show before, by the way, Paul. I don't know if you remember that as a baby boomer.
I do.
Okay. All right.
Who could forget the inventor of the OLLYBALL? I'll give him a plug if you won't here. This guy started the OLLYBALL.
Well, yes, but way before he even did the OLLYBALL. I mean, the man's resume is just like, I don't know, where do we start, right? And he's interesting because there's a continuity. I mean, he'll tell you about archetypes all you want in a minute here, but there's a continuity. He's definitely his own archetype. Is the Joe Burke archetype? Can we name that?
It's today, the Raad Gantos. I'm borrowing it.
Oh,
he's just re-wearing another suit that he's borrowed
sweet.
here. Yes.
He's so smooth. But no, I mean, I'll tell you, he had me at hey, hi, my name is Joe, and I wanted to write a book, so I got on a train. So let's start there, Joe, okay?
Yeah.
For those who have not had the privilege of knowing who you are, go ahead and tell them a little bit of background, and then please start with the train trip, because that one I share all the time.
Oh, yeah. All right, yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it. It's good to be on again. Good to see your face. I started out as a paper boy. I just did. I learned the 3 keys of every company: operational excellence, product superiority, and customer intimacy, all starting at the age of 9 in Chicago in the dead of winter. So that's really, if I were to explain any roots to my, call it success, it would be as a paper boy. Fast forward, was a college athlete, fortunate to get a scholarship. Studied my butt off in the cold in Rochester, New York, and then came westward with a Jeep and a mountain bike, and that's all I owned. And 1 credit card they gave me on the way out the door. But the short of it is, look, to me, the only thing I've ever really accomplished is our 3 children. My wife and I met at Barney's Beanery sports bar.
What a
in,
great place. Have you ever been to Barney's Bean?
right?
Rod's been there. He's been every place. But it's up in, I think it's Santa Monica Boulevard,
That's
up in
right. You
West
got it.
Hollywood. If you're in the entertainment industry like I was, Barney's Beanery is one of those cool places, not just to go have some beans, but to hang out, shoot some pool, and do some other things. So, yeah.
But
That's
Paul, why don't you ask Joe what he was doing at Barney's Bean?
Well, I assumed he was a patron, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah.
No, I was at the time I was playing Papa Shot with a good friend who formerly was, he became later Hawkeye on the Avengers. And so
We're talking about Jeremy, what is it,
yeah,
Renner?
that's right. We wrote screenplays together, and we kind of we actually had a softball team together in Los Angeles. But,
So happy for him to have had that recovery after that unfortunate situation.
yeah,
Unbelievable situation. Gets thrown under a giant snowmobile. I mean, not a snow removal, whatever you call these things that plow. And he's trying to get it going and climbs up on it, slips off, and it runs over him. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I mean it's literally the hero's journey, and this is his restoration. So it's anyway, that brought me up to that point in my life. To get to the train ride, I was an executive at Disney, at Goodwill Industries, and during that time I was gathering a ton of information. And the key, I guess, the genesis of the book was I studied archetypes. I had a really good professor in college and a great teacher in high school. From Notre Dame, who taught me first about archetypal patterns and the hero's journey. And one day,
the Joseph Campbell story, that whole theme, right? Yeah, right.
Yes. All stories are the education of the protagonist.
Right.
But not to get heady about it. I'm sitting there at Disney. One of my team members talks about we have a new movie coming out. I was there from Ratatouille to Wall-E. And it was a new movie coming out.
Two good movies to bookend your career here. I could have picked 400 other Disney movies that nobody had ever heard of. You could have rattled off there.
They're both Pixar, which was cool.
Yeah.
And so the short of it is, one of the guys says, well, there's a new movie coming out. They're probably going to kill the parent in the first 15 minutes. And I go,
wow.
Yeah. And I stood there. I'm like, you know what? I got to dig in deeper to that. So the short of it is, I ended up researching, put the outline to a book together. At the time I was running and gunning, we were raising kids. I was going 10 miles an hour a minute. And I go, you know what? I gotta write a book. In fact, I was giving a talk in Orange County at the time, and this woman giving the talk, she's like, you need to write a book. And I'm like, okay, I'll write a book. So I had an outline, and I timed how long it would take me to write a chapter. Because a book is basically 25,000 words or more. And I basically wrote a chapter, timed myself. And I'm like, okay, if I get this chunk of time, I'll get a time to write a book. I went to Ellen, my wife, and I said, hey, I got to write this book. It's going to take me about 48 hours of writing to write the book. And the only way to do this, if I get on a train going nowhere. And so I boarded a train in Anaheim, California. I had my outline, my computer, I had a notebook, and I just rode a train all the way up the Pacific coast to nowhere, writing for 46 hours. It took me 46 hours to write it. Got back, I was just going to self-publish, and then the self-publishing person said, send it to some publishers. And so I got 2 offers from publishers and a nice check. And I checked that box in my life off.
And the book is still available, Joe, right? Through Amazon?
In fact, it's still running. It's still over 4.5 stars on Amazon, and it's called The Anatomy of Yes. There's my
And tell people a little bit about the book, Joe.
Well, it's the story behind every sale. And so the hero's journey is very simple. Every hero will have enemies, allies, and tests. And if you studied everything from the Iliad to Homer to the Odyssey to modern, in fact,
which I did in the day, all that. Yeah.
There you go. You study all of the classic stories, even the modern stories. I was just watching Dune with my son last night. The hero's journey, it's all the same. The hero goes on a quest. He has allies, he has enemies, he is tested, and each time he rises above the test to become stronger and more powerful and learns more. And what I found is studying archetypal patterns is that every single person, every single one of you will go through 5 distinct archetypal patterns in your life, beginning with a quest for identity. At a very young age, we try to figure out who we are. We adjust the frequency of our cry all the way up to 1200 decibels to get the attention of the mother. And then we go into Dragon and Treasure. We start competing at things in life. This is when we're, starts around, 8, 9, 10 years old. And it could be in music, could be mathematics, could be chess, could be sports. We start competing at things. and that becomes our dragon and treasure. Defeat the dragon, get the treasure. That moves into a descent to the underworld. And this usually happens in adolescence. Around 13, 14, 15, there will be a personal crisis, a relationship crisis, a family crisis. Something will happen where the floor drops out and we crash. And it's called a descent to the underworld. And some also call it the dark night of the soul. And when those occur, you climb your way out of them. And every time you climb your way out of them, you become more stronger and more powerful, and you're able to face these tests in the future. That becomes your restoration of the wasteland. So when you climb out of a descent into the underworld, you become stronger and smarter, and then you start seeing people and things that are broken, and you start trying to fix people and things that are broken. And you'll see people usually in their 30s, maybe even younger. They get involved in nonprofits, they get involved in volunteer work. They want to start giving back the lessons that they learned from the tragedies they endured. And so I was fortunate to get involved in nonprofits in my late 20s. I got to meet some wonderful people that I still know and work with today. And that becomes restoration of the wasteland. And then, the final archetype in the Anatomy of Yes. These are sort of ones, you could say I curated them, but really I think I just built a sequence that I saw and observed occurring in people's lives as well as my own, is that you see in the end, it's called the quest for the Holy Grail, which is our legacy. So the more times we fix people and things, the more we give back to the community, give back to the world, bring joy to people, that becomes our legacy. That's the only thing on this earth that will really, really leave behind, unless you freeze your brain cryogenically and hope that they'll reawaken you, 200 years from now. But those are the 5 archetypes, and it begins with our quest for identity as a kid. Who are we? What are we great at? What are we getting acceptance for? And into the end, how are we going to leave this world in a better place than we found it, or are we just going to take things?
Hold up the book so we can see it. I would assume somebody worked at Disney would have plugged that by now and held it up. But, yeah.
There it is, The Anatomy of Yes, the story behind every sale.
It's a great read. I recommend it to everybody. I have the copy. I actually revisit it often, because part of that journey too is sometimes you run through some of these cycles multiple times.
Yep.
Like the trials and tribulations, the challenges, and when you're a cocky young person, you think you can handle what comes your way, but you really don't know until you are faced with a challenge that then proves to you whether you can or you can't. And in most cases you can, but how you go about it. And it's funny because that book, Joe, I can't even remember when you gave it to me, like maybe 3 years ago, 4 years, no, longer than that, maybe 7 years ago now. And I go back to it all the time. It actually sits on my nightstand because it has that, and you start seeing parallels, like to Joe's point, like you start seeing parallels. Like I was laughing when he said, we're going to kill the parent and kill the father in the first 5 minutes, because there's almost like an undergoing joke that if it's a Disney movie, the parent dies in the first 5 minutes. Like that, every movie, if you think about it, somebody, it's Bambi, Dumbo, there's this, a parent dies and then you're on your quest.
Simba and
Lion King.
Lion King, yeah, right.
All of them. The first ones, in fact, the theory goes when, if you look at The Little Mermaid, if you look at Pinocchio, notice Little Red Riding Hood even. Notice, where are the parents?
Yeah.
There's always a parent missing, because it becomes an adventure. With the parents there, it's not the same adventure.
Right.
So in classic stories, so the theory was, and this is pretty fascinating, is Walt Disney, when he was building, him and his brother, Roy, were building Disneyland, the studios, the animation studios, they were getting quite successful. And they built their parents a home. But they used the contractors from the movie sets to build the home. It wasn't done correctly. The furnace caught fire in the house, and their mother, Fauna Disney, died.
Oh, yep.
I know. No, people don't believe
you
this.
Killed your mother? This is Oedipus here.
That's
yeah,
it.
Right. Yeah.
And so the theory used to be, or probably still is out there, that all the Disney movies would kill a parent in the beginning of the movie because their own mother had died. Which is actually not true, because if you look at Hans Christian Andersen,
exactly, it goes beyond. Excuse me, to your point, like Greek mythology. a minute ago on your screen behind you, if I was correct in my evaluation, it looked like there was a Sumerian lion that was actually
Geez, are
exhibited
you
on the
good? That's
screen.
Mesopotamia.
Mesopotamia,
Yeah,
right?
that's a
Wow.
gate in
Yeah.
Mesopotamia.
Yes, I know.
Good
It's
eye.
well,
Where is that? I
classic,
can't see it. I see
classic education,
Yes.
and
okay.
my mother was Iraqi, so I have been to that gate, the
No
Lion's Gate,
kidding.
and yeah,
Come
and
on.
yeah, that's what. So all of those ancient
Mhm.
stories, which
Correct.
were story told around the fire. I mean, it wasn't
Correct.
necessarily even written, right? All have a common thread of that nature. The Trials of Hercules, same thing, you know, where his dad is basically, cavorting up in the high skies, and his mother raises him, or the Oedipus, or what's the one that he and his mother get thrown into the ocean or the sea in
That was the Kardashians.
no, that wasn't the Kardashians.
Oh,
The Kardashians just brought it back. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, so Joe, this is great. So how do you looking back at that, how do you see a thread, like how your life has unfolded? Because
I'm looking for the thread that takes him from there to the book to what we're going to talk about last, the OLLYBALL here. I'm looking for that thread here. Yes.
Yeah, it's a pretty direct line. I mean, I could tell you some of the work I enjoyed the most was at Goodwill Industries. I was vice president there, and it's a classic restoration of the wasteland story. So if you look at the history of Goodwill, I was started by a Methodist pastor in Boston, and he was, during the Depression, if you were crippled, you couldn't work. They would only take the able-bodied to work.
Right.
And then at the time, I mean, things were getting so bad that people would throw furniture and things into the streets. So this minister looked at people that were thrown away that were broken, things that were thrown away and broken, and he put them together. And he created Goodwill Industries, which was the first social enterprise ever in America. And what he did, the minister, and he actually had a partner named Beeman, who was his businessman partner. They created an industry out of taking people that were disabled, finding ways for them to fix broken furniture, and then reselling it. That is a classic restoration of the wasteland archetype, and
Right.
again became the Holy Grail, which is the legacy of Goodwill. So Edgar Helms was the guy that started Goodwill, the minister.
And what did you do at Disney? What part of the Disney did you work in?
Disney, I was a national brand director of Disney stores. So we would look at sort of from Ratatouille to Wall-E. We'd look at the sketches. I mean, I got to see these previews early on of Wall-E, well before it was even animated. And then we would take toy designers that we had on site, a wonderful team of people. And then we would create, I would work on the marketing side, but they would be creating the toys, and we would do what was called synergy events, where we would, in the Disney stores and through other partners, we would create these toys based upon the movies, kind of like the original Star Wars toys.
So did you, when you were at Goodwill, Joe, were you there when they were rolling out the stores?
Yes.
When they were starting to position the stores, I think it was Frank Tellerico that was
Yep.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
so there was a direct correlation there from your Disney store situation to here's
Opposite
Goodwill.
way around. Yes,
Yeah.
I was Goodwill. No, yeah, that's right. I was Disney, then Goodwill. That's correct. And then Christie's. So yes, there was a direct continuity into what we were doing. I had an incredible team at Goodwill. Jessica, Sam, Sean Pale, Stephanie, Ashley, Cindy. And I'll tell you, I mean, in terms of leadership, I went to that team and I said, let's go take risks. Let's go out and do what's right. Go do the right thing. If something goes wrong, if it fails, it's my fault. It's my job. And so I can really, I mean, we grew, if you look at the numbers of that time, I remember it's some crazy number. I mean, it was something like we grew 6.4% in the first year, and people said 0.6 for us. And no, it's 6.4, and I take no credit for it. I said, I got an amazing team. I had the development team, the marketing team, and they just, I'm so proud of them, what they were able to accomplish.
They're looking to roll out about 26 new stores, I heard.
It's
just
become
recently.
big, yes. I tell you, the social enterprise component of it, and when you really look at the social impacts that are made, because most people will say, and that was part of the job that we had, was to get people who would look at Goodwill as a place to drop things off, and maybe they wouldn't go into the store.
Right.
Shop Goodwill had already been around, but was creating these higher end stores. So the higher end Goodwill stores, because if you look at the funds that are generated, you would say, okay, great. Well, what are they doing with the money? They're just giving it to the poor. They're actually doing more than that. They have something called workforce solutions.
We've had them on several times of working with people with disabilities
There you go,
and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, and I got a great story about that. So at the time I had so many good people. Steve, at the time, we were coming up with a campaign, and we were just spitballing around and around and around, and the 3 words came out called "Find the Good," and I was like, "Find the good." So we checked it out. It wasn't trademarked. So obviously, Goodwill, we sent it to their legal to trademark. So Find the Good was there. And then we went to the Aquabats. The Aquabats were an Orange County band.
Yes, I remember that. Now you're really going into the Wayback Machine here. Kind of a local cult sensation. Had like a cable access show or something here.
Right.
Well, even more so, they had a show in Nickelodeon called Yo Gabba Gabba. Very successful show. So we met with them. They were cool guys. We said, look, find the good. We need a theme song. We want to run radio spots, and we want to create something. So the lead singer and his buddy, I guess they were jogging. So the story I remember, and they were listening, thinking they were going, find the good, find the good, find the good, find the good, and the good will find you. And there it was. So,
and they were kind of an example of that, because they really, I may have the story wrong, but I thought it was like cable access. They did something very hyper local, not destined for stardom whatsoever, but it kind of caught on in Orange County. They did parties, they did kids events, they did other sorts of things, and then got noticed. Like, you know, the early days, and we say that, take that for granted now, that Justin Bieber gets discovered in his bedroom and becomes a star. That wasn't happening in those days. There was no social media to find people, but they did get found, and they did build a career and did do a number of network kind of things.
They were so ahead of it. And honestly, like, we ended up winning an Addy Award for it.
Wow,
put it up the first time Goodwill, and I think it ever entered an Addy, and I brought the whole team with me, and sure shooting, we won an Addy Award. Which is pretty prestigious, especially for an organization that never put one out before. And we didn't go in like the nonprofit category. We went up against the biggies. So that was really cool. And then I remember I was listening to the first track of it on my phone on a file while I was sitting at 8,000 feet getting ready to climb Mount Whitney. And we did the round trip in 19 hours. And I remember that I kept going like this, trying to hear the song again. And it really kind of hooked me, especially losing oxygen. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I always say, I've been saying it for years to teams that I worked in companies, and even I've coached a number of sports with my kids. A team is a group of people that trust each other. Otherwise, it's a group of people with individual goals that will sort of get along as much as they can to reach their individual goals.
As long as it helps them, right?
As long as it helps them. But when you have a group of people that trust each other and aren't looking for credit, is unbelievable the things you can accomplish.
Yeah, it's a very magical moment if you can get that alignment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did I hear Christie's in there, like the auction house Christie's, or am I got that wrong?
Yeah, it's international real estate.
Oh, yeah. Christie's real estate. Okay.
Well, and First Steam was in there as well, right? You did marketing for First Steam. I mean, so here's the thing. For somebody who's done all of that, who's worked at that level, I mean, and for those who don't know, like it, you know, Joe obviously is presenting it as this very, very fun, enjoyable environment, creative energy, a lot of people working towards, common goal, camaraderie, all this stuff, but it's a very intense environment sometimes. It can be, with deadlines and all those kind of realities, right?
Yeah, they're not playing at that level here.
So here's what I would like to delve into. How do you, I mean, there's a certain amount of this that's probably not planned, right, Joe? There's a part of this that's sort of like happy accidents and next evolutions and things of that nature. I don't know that you can really lay down a piece of paper and say, this is my path. Right? Nor I think that would be probably in contradiction to also the archetypal hero's journey too, because there's a certain serendipity in the hero's journey, right? That happens, like it's just part of the adventure, so to speak, is that happy accidents that unfold, and trusting the path, trusting that this is a journey that you will be okay going on, right? Versus being holding onto the edge of the pool and saying, no, I'm not going to do this.
And that you don't turn around and go back home.
Right. Well,
Once they start, they never quit and say, "Oh, let's give up. Let's go back."
Well, I think there's, like I said, there's a sort of amount, and sometimes it goes unsaid. There's a certain amount of courage. There's a certain amount of hubris. There's a certain amount of just like devil may care. Yeah, let's find out what's around the next corner. That has to be part of that DNA sometimes for people. And I'm not knocking people who don't do this. But with that being said, how do you think, looking back, how do you think you maintained your ability to not only find the joy in it, but actually to seek out the fun in it? Because for you to go in through those things, and I hear it every time you and I talk, there's a fun layer. There is a playful layer to you, to what you are involved in. I mean, to the point where you're playing ball inside the house. I mean, let's just, where a product comes out of that. But how do you, just looking back, how does a person not necessarily safeguard that, but how does a person not lose that? Because I remember one time, and it sort of speaks a little bit to this. I was sitting in a classroom doing a presentation, and it was an MBA classroom. And somebody was telling me that someone was feverishly writing everything I was saying. And I'm like, I know I am not saying things that interesting that you're filling out a friggin' legal pad with notes, right? But I said, and I said, anybody have questions? And his hand goes up and he goes, how do you be creative? And I kind of like, it threw me back, and I'm like, you might as well ask me how I breathe. Like, I don't know. What do you mean how? It's like, this is not mechanical process to how to be creative. But at the same time, I then turned around and asked the class, and I said, how many of you basically perceive to be yourselves to be creative or playful or kind of engaged at that thing? Keep in mind, this is an executive MBA class, so people who are a little bit older, right? A couple of hands kind of just like gingerly went up in the back of the room, scared to, go up. And then I said, okay. I said, how many of you would have thought that you were creative when you were in primary school? Almost every hand in the class went up.
Exactly.
Right? So I want to just take a minute, because that is something that sometimes along the way gets lost. And yet you have been able to hold on to that with all the responsibilities and the realities of adulting. Okay? How do you think you have done that?
Wow, that's good. You ask the best darn questions, dude. I mean, you caught me last time we did an interview, and it's like, I would say two things. I mean, I always say courage is doing something that you know is going to fail, and you just do it anyway. And
well, you almost sounded like John Wayne there.
Well, apropos to Orange County.
Yeah, right.
But I would say this: I have very good parents. My dad worked very hard. He's a veteran. Started out climbing telephone poles. I got to see him make it all the way to the general manager of AT&T. He's very successful, but it was a grind. We didn't get allowances or much of anything growing up. And I had to fight for anything. I was the youngest of three boys, but I had really great parents that really kind of connected God to everything that we were doing. And I would say this: I'm able to joyously take risks. As many a knife fight I've been in, as many times I've had to peel my face off the cement, because I've always believed, and my parents always instilled in me, that God has a plan for you. And, in my aging years now, I'm starting to see what it is, and it has nothing to do with me, but I can see already in the many letters we get, the people that have come to us about what we've created, and really the path that we're on. There is a roadmap. There is a hero's journey to OLLYBALL. And so I would just say it's faith. It's just faith that there's a plan, and that every time you get beat down, you go, there's a reason for it.
I'm assuming I'm a good Irish Catholic, and Burke is certainly an Irish name. Were you raised an Irish Catholic?
I was Irish Italian.
Irish Italian. Okay,
Yeah.
Right.
That's correct.
Both the same thing. Very
Double whammy. He's got a double whammy.
double whammy. And Raad, who's going to go to hell, I'm going to tell you, because he was just at a Catholic church, and he's not really Catholic. He's sort of Greek Catholic or something there. He was at a grad.
Hey. Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
He just walks in boldly, and he probably...
I absolve you.
Park your Irish for a second. Okay? Just park your Irish, okay? All right. My mom, God rest her soul,
Yeah.
was Catholic.
Wait,
My
but
father is Greek Orthodox. My mom was Catholic. My father
okay.
Greek Orthodox. In fact, Paul, excuse me, right? But my grandfather was 2 inches away from becoming a Jesuit priest. Okay,
Ooh,
I
in
never
Lebanon,
never
and
knew
a relative
that.
of his
and
is
you're
the
fighting
first
smoke.
cardinal that was ordained as an Arab cardinal. So
That I
give me,
didn't know. That I
just
didn't
park your
know.
Irish for a
Okay.
second,
I
right?
thought you were like
Okay.
Greek Catholic or Orthodox or something. Well, your
What
dad
do you
was,
mean
yeah.
Greek? What are you talking about
What?
Greek Catholic? I mean, get your denominations correct.
Well,
Okay,
there
so
is actually a
Catholic.
Greek Catholic and then there are Greek Orthodox. There's a small group that stayed with the
I'm
church.
trying to lead to a punchline here, dude.
I
Okay.
know, I know.
All right. It's Catholic on my mother's side and Greek Orthodox on my father's side.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, if people know the difference between Catholics and Greek Orthodox, I would say that the Catholics are a very authoritarian, top-down, heavy management kind of driven organizational structure, and
Okay.
basically it's very punitive. And then the Greek Orthodox are like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm going to come visit you at home." Right? And we have more icons than we can hold
Icons,
on an
yeah.
altar
Right,
because of the friggin' saints. Like we have more saints. We have to put them on collages on billboards, right?
right.
Because there's so many of them. So I used to basically, when somebody would basically tell me that, I'd go, no, 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 I'm Catholic and Greek Orthodox. I basically party with the Greek Orthodox, and I feel guilty about it in the
The next
morning
day
with the
with
Catholic.
oh, there's the joke. There's the
Well
joke.
played.
There's the joke.
Well played.
So
So
do
yeah,
you,
no, and I really wanted to talk about that, Joe. So thank you for taking that minute. And I think like you bring out a couple of points. Your parents, the support, because you have to agree, right, that your career path, for the lack of a better way of defining it, right, is an unorthodox career
it's
path.
not
It's like it's
orthodox. Yeah,
right,
exactly.
exactly. It's unorthodox, and it's I think it's part of the joy. Like I remember at a point where I basically started to trust and look forward to happy accidents
Mm.
on things that unveil and reveal themselves. Maybe part of it was my that adventures. Like I don't want to know everything around the corner in advance, right? And but you have to trust. You have to have faith, to your point. And then also the support of a family, and supportive, like in the case of your wife, supportive. Hopefully she'll have a good nugget to pick up from this show like she did last time, right? For you and I.
Right.
But yeah, I think it was worth basically just taking a minute to focus on. Plus the fact that the joy of play, and I want to ask you the follow-up question based on what you just said. What is that you think you're getting a glimpse of as far as the hero's journey through OLLYBALL? What is you thinking as that connection with legacy?
First, can you hold up an ollie ball? We're talking about it. We got to see it.
I'll show you.
He's got
Well,
a whole
good. This
bunch of
is
them.
one of the new ones. This one is Planet Earth.
How cool.
Happy Earth Day, by the way.
And this one's got helium in it, so it suspends in the air a little more. It floats in the air a little more here. And how long is that? Give us a quick ad. How long has OLLYBALL been around? Where do I get it? Where is it sold?
So, yes. So we won Toy of the Year in our first year in 2019 at the New York International Toy Fair, considered the
deal.
Oscars of the toy industry. We are currently in all U.S. Target stores, although we have sold out of 30% of them. So check online first. All CVS stores nationwide, Amazon.com, Walmart.com, over 2,000 toy stores and internationally. And we just launched a co-branded FAO Schwarz NBA editions, and we've got some incredible announcements coming in 2025.
Okay. All right. Just
I mean,
want to
you
make
want you.
sure.
I mean, you want to see how much range there is in this with this. Go to his website. Give the website, Joe. I mean, it's behind
Oh
me. But
yeah,
give the website.
OLLYBALL.com, OLLYBALL.com, and you'll see we've got. In fact, we just launched, well, which is part of our roadmap, STEM and STEAM accredited OLLYBALLs. They're learning ones. They're master artists, color by
So
numbers.
I got to inject one question. I'll try to stay out of this, but because Rod will talk endlessly about life and philosophy and everything else. How did you pivot from all those big career moves, big companies you're doing marketing? Yes, it's a playful world. I get it. You're doing a playful person and you're playing with toys and you're doing stories. How did you come up with the toy? Why? How?
So it was in California. It was blazing hot. It was over 100 degrees, and my daughter at the time, she was playing volleyball and soccer in the house and breaking stuff. Like growing up, they always said like don't play ball in the house. So she's playing ball in the house, breaking stuff. I'm trying to be supportive. My wife's like, come on, stop breaking, stop knocking stuff over.
Right.
And I'm like, no, hit it against the wall. She's like, it's marking the walls. And so anyway, at one point I throw the ball in the backyard and she's crying. This was on a Saturday. And I said, how come no one's made a ball you can play with in the house?
Mm.
I remember saying those exact words. I'm looking at my daughter. I'm like, let's try to make a ball you can play with in the house. She was 9 at the time. So we went in the garage and we got a balloon, we got some tape, and we just started messing with things. And I remember we went to the post office that day to use the scale to weigh. We had 3 different prototypes. I still have pictures of them. We had 3 different prototypes. Started weighing them. And then that day became an obsession. And so it was materials, stuff was getting shipped to the house. I was talking to this company that owned something called NitroBlock. I knew what I needed. I knew the size, the weight, but the problem is that we either wouldn't stay inflated or didn't have all the properties it needed to. So what I would do is I would take each prototype. I'd go to the gym, which had a kids club. I'd go play 2 hours of basketball, and I'd take the prototype with my kids when I check them in and throw it in there. And I'd watch behind the glass to see if they'd play with it. That was my focus group. So these are my Saturday focus groups. And
but it was that clear. One day the light bulb went on. You saw the need, and you immediately saw a solution.
Yeah, I knew I wasn't going to give up on it. Kind of like, I mean, my wife knows. I mean, like when I when I lock onto something, that's it. We're just going to do it. And especially something like this, I'm like, I don't know how. I had a full-time job. I was working as a chief marketing officer at the largest brokerage in Southern California, fancy suits, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I remember just at night doing this. So I had come up with a prototype, the 12-inch. It was this size. It was blank. It was all white. And you can hear it crunch. And it comes black and white. You color them in with markers and crayons. And I had this size. And I remember I gave it to my daughter. She goes into the kids club. And immediately I see like fish food on the top of a fish tank. All the kids run to it. I'm like, play basketball for 2 hours, come back. It's missing. It's gone. And I'm like, I don't know what happened to it. So I asked the person working up front, I said, did you see it? Like there was a ball about yay big there that I dropped off with my daughter. And they're like, was that yours? I go, yeah. And she goes, well, we had to take that away. Everyone was fighting over it. I'm like, there's a lot of different, play balls in here. She said, no. In fact, my manager wanted to talk to you to find out where you got it from. And so I remember that Saturday, I'm lucky, I'm fortunate. I've got a team in Hong Kong, the people from Disney. And so There's my son right now. Hey, you want to say hi to people?
Hey, there he is. Mr. Ollie. Is his name Ollie? No.
No, but he's on the packaging. This is our target box right here.
Okay.
And that's my father. We're
him.
live. We're live on a show.
We're live.
Yes. Yes, we're live.
Yeah,
We're live.
Live on OC Talk Radio.
Yes.
Say hi.
Say hi to your friends, your buddies. Oh, he just drifted away.
And he's off.
Yes. So anyway, we knew we had something. I called my guys. I'm like, give me 1,000 of them. I got them. I started coloring them in with markers because I wanted it to look cool. And I'm like, wait a minute. Why don't we just make these cartoons on here and we'll have the kids color them with
It's
markers.
a coloring book. It's a toy coloring book that you can play with.
Yes.
Wow.
And are you ready for this? Instead of just making random images, we have the dragon, treasure.
Dragon and treasure.
3 of these panels are actual archetypes. So this is, you'll see the earth down here.
Yep.
This is Quest for the Holy Grail. And this one here is Quest for Identity with superheroes.
That's wild.
Wow.
And our kids, we call them bugs. So most OLLYBALLs have 3 hidden bugs on them. And then we use Stegosaurus. There's a young man on the autism spectrum that we dedicate the Stegosaurus to.
So you saw that clear, that quick, and hit you. Why didn't you quit, though, along the... Because I meet people who've invented stuff or wanted to invent stuff. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
And they had an idea, like a book, like a movie, like a toy. I got something, and I kick it around, but I never do anything with it. It never goes anywhere because I don't know how to make a toy or how to write a movie or how to patent a product.
Well, here's the great answer is I was doing nonprofit work at the time. I was doing I was on the board of 2 nonprofits. And one of the guys I met, we just hit it off. In fact, I just saw him in Los Angeles last week. He so happened to be a patent attorney. And so, I mean, and we knew each other for a couple of years. And then I said to him one day, I said, hey, I'm going to take you to lunch. And I said, can you patent a ball? And he's like, it's pretty hard to patent a ball. It's a pretty common thing. And I told him what I was up to. And so that story went. And then also at the time, working as an executive, I was very cognizant about any work that I did on this had to either be on my lunch break or had to be after I was done working there at the day.
Right.
I just didn't want to, like, that's company time. They're paying my time. I told the CEO, who was also an entrepreneur, I said, hey, I have this patent that I'm continuing to develop. He was actually supportive of it, never got in the way of what we were doing. And he was an entrepreneur himself, Cameron Mirage.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yes.
Because many companies would not want you to focus anything else. I don't even want you to think about anything else.
Yeah, he's a wonderful guy. And I'll tell you, here's the odd. So when I started my first company when I was 21. I had a Jeep, a mountain bike. I think I owned 3 shirts. And I started my company at the end of a hallway that I traded out for with a metal chair and a card table. That was my first company. But I'll be honest with you, that was easy. I had nothing to lose.
Right.
I didn't even have a dog. So I mean, I wasn't going to lose.
If it doesn't work, who cares? I'll do something.
Yeah, I wasn't going to lose my mountain bike. I wasn't going to lose my Jeep. I mean,
or your house, or your family, or your career.
So
yeah.
It was actually easier back then to take that jump when this thing started exploding and my phone was blowing up. This all happened right before COVID, by the way.
Yeah.
My phone starts blowing up. Hobby Lobby calls me. All these retailers are calling. They want the product. When can they see it? When can they get it? And so I remember leaving a meeting going, if I pass this up, like, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. And it was about 2 weeks later, I went to Cameron Mirage, and I said, listen, I told you I've been working on this thing. It's getting big, and I feel like I'm serving 2 sides of my life, and I'm gonna take this on. And he was wonderful about it. He really was. He's like, stay in touch. And he was, his brother Paul Mirage, Hot Pockets inventor. So I mean, he was very familiar, and Cam, being an entrepreneur, very self-made, he really got it. But it was interesting because we took off and we grew quick in the first year, and we ran right into the teeth of COVID. I remember being in Huntington Beach, looking out at the line of shipping containers going, well, 3 of those are mine.
Yeah, right. And they're sitting out there. They're not coming in.
Sitting out there. But as a survivor, and I'm fast forwarding a little bit, as a survivor, we said, all right, we are redeveloping all the packaging. Planes are still flying right now and no one's flying. We're going to redesign all of our packaging out of a box, and we're going to get it super small and thin in what I called an eco pack. Mm-hmm. And we're going to start air freighting. Again, everyone will be like, you're out of your mind. Like, you got 3 containers on the water. You've already dumped. I mean, this was all built on our own savings. So, I mean.
And I've been to the International Toy Fair, whatever they call it, in New York.
So
I've been there. It takes over the whole Jacob Javits Convention Center and then some. It's the place. And everybody's dreaming of being Joe Burke and the OLLYBALL. Everybody's got a toy. Everybody's got a booth. Everybody's hoping they'll be the hit of the show and discovered. And 99.9% of them ain't happening.
But Joe, let me ask you something. So how were your sales during COVID? Because I would think that this actually provided for something to happen inside the house.
Correct.
When you were basically.
Yeah, spot on. You nailed it. So we've never really been in the red. We've always been in the black. But what happened was, with 3 containers held up, and then they were charging demurrage because we were paying for them to be held up, which was really exciting. We had a big lag because we had an indoor play ball, and I've got a lot of trademarks. One of them was play ball in the house. One of them was the ultimate indoor play ball. And people were thirsting. They needed activities indoors. So we were the right product at the right time. The problem is they were all stuck on the ocean.
Yeah.
Because of the problem. That's when I'm like, I don't care what it takes. Let's redesign them. In 1 week, we redesigned all of our packaging, got it super slim. We found a way to get them into 100 of them into a case pack this big, and we just started air freighting. And started.
The reason I'm asking that question is because here's a perfect example for anybody who's listening, right? When you talk about, and we used to say this during COVID, you either have a growth mindset, or you have like just complete shutdown, right? And so here's a situation where it's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. And so you took advantage of the fact that you couldn't get those, but sales were coming in. You got an opening. You went ahead and thought, how do I deliver my product?
Correct.
Okay. And I have a reason why I'm asking this, because it leads me to the following question. We also now have had a change in things basically going through brick and mortar.
Right.
And you got commercial real estate. You were involved on the marketing side, on brand marketing side of real estate. Commercial real estate is sucking wind. You've got retail big box that's going out of business every day, okay, or going actually online, like Bed Bath and Beyond, for example, right? So what do you, from your perspective of what you have seen in the past, where you're at, and you're actually a provider, not just a consultant service provider, but you're actually a product person as well. Where do you see, from your perspective, things going? Because we have a serious commercial real estate bubble that's been coming, right?
Certainly
And
on the
it's sort
retail
of,
side. Yeah, right.
yeah, well, not only that, just commercial real estate, period. I mean, you got interest rates that are high, you got brick and mortar that's oversized for what is needed, you got change in everything from business travel patterns to way purchasing in. I mean, retail was before COVID, retail was moving off the shelves and online anyway, right? But
Correct.
I want to take this opportunity to ask you, because you have an interesting perspective and you've been engaged in this in multiple ways over a period of time. Where do you see this thing going, Joe?
So with experience, the stores that are winning right now are Camp, which OLLYBALL, we have a partnership with OLLYBALL and a cartoon called Bluey with Camp stores. High experience store. They actually pay to get a tour of the store and an experience. And then they have the retail component. The FAO Schwarz, I was just in New York City. It never slows down. So
Right.
the stores that are engaged in experience will win, because people do, especially people working remote, they want to get out of the house. Like, they're thirsting. I do believe in the dialectic materialism. So we're right now.
Dialectic materialism. Whoa, okay. All right.
Explain that one for
Karl
for
Marx
yeah.
and dialectic materialism and Frederick Engels. Okay, what are we
Yes,
going
that's
with?
it. And so what's happening is, I think we're at a swing right now where we're coming out of COVID and people have been, oh my God, how great is it to work remote? What we haven't experienced yet is a generation of people growing up on working remote. The reason that we could work remote is because we already knew how to do what we knew how to do. We got skilled at working with people. We knew interpersonal relationships. We knew how to navigate, play within the rules. Not all people do, but at least at the companies, if you worked, I got to work at two Fortune's top 25 most inspiring companies. And even though the work was difficult, there's always sort of a code that you operated on in terms of respect for people and how you collectively got things done and how you would fight as a family and fight through it to win. Because like a multi-million-dollar budgets that I was managing. And if you're fighting the way that some people fight, companies go out of business this way. So I would say,
So they've been forced to work together, and they figured out how to do it through generations, right?
and they did. And so that was a forged skill that probably takes 2 decades to be really good at. And all those people were all of a sudden now working remote. And it was kind of fine because they already knew how to deal with people.
Right.
They knew how to manage controller taker personalities. They knew how to manage supporter personalities. And so what happened is they were able to easily transfer those skills online like we are right now. The problem is, you've got a generation coming that's starting out this way, that's not understanding interpersonal skills, how to work as a team,
Right.
how to put credit to the side and suck it up, buttercup. They're not learning those skills. So my guess in the materialism is we will go back to a cycle where we're going to, once again, because people need to make money and real estate ain't going away, we are going to reinvent the workspace. I don't think it's going to be Google lava lamps and
Shelves
beanbag chairs.
of things just stacked up. Right.
They are going to reinvent the workplace, but they're going to have to get back to commercial real estate, and companies because they're going to see it. They're going to see this generation is not ready for it, and they're going to see productivity go down, and the really smart people at the top are going to go, you know what? We got to train. We've got to find ways. We need human beings to work together again. The greatest things accomplished in this world, from the Hoover Dam to, getting to Mars, has been done through teams. I guarantee I got a niece and a nephew that literally are rocket scientists, and they have to work together. That is not a job you can do remote. And that's probably the macro scale of it. The micro scale, it's like, oh no, it's great to chip away in a computer all day. That is going to catch up the industry. and industry will always win in a capitalistic, society.
So to quote Marx, there's always a flip side to the things. You're looking at one thing, and then there's the opposite thing that's simultaneously happening.
Let me add even more layers to this.
Yes.
Okay.
Not too much. We got 10 minutes left. We can't go an hour and a half here again.
Here's the thing. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I have interesting guests.
I know. Well, that's why you got to bring them over multiple episodes here, right?
No. They're hard to get. I get them one time. That's it. All right. Okay. So here's a couple of other layers.
But I do have a hard stop around 2 here today.
Well, then let us stop. Okay. So the
Rod would talk all day.
He'd
do the Joe Rogan routine. We'd be here 4 hours from now.
Dude, it's called OC Talk Radio.
I know.
So
with multiple shows.
Here's another layer. You also have AI. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because AI, basically, in my mind, is an extension of automating systems, right, of some sort, right? It's a little bit more of an intelligence-based thing, but anyway. So the 20 years you were talking about, Joe, where it takes 20 years for people to actually get to those soft skills, if you will, right? Those happen at jobs that are now being automated and taken out of the system because of AI. So we know we can't go back to the same way we used to get people to that level. We got to literally reinvent how it is that we get people to go to that level, because the stepping stones along the way that we all took, the bones that we earned along the way, those are now getting automated. They're basically out of the equation. So how do you take somebody?
I'll go one step. I'll go one step further.
Hold on a sec, Paul. Right.
All right.
And here's why I'm bringing this up. I feel that some of the stuff that I gained along the way, prior to even my work experience stuff, was stuff based on that classic education, whether it was from a comic book with that archetype and the hero's journey, or whether it was something that I learned in school because it was a mythology or a history class, or whether it was a visit to some Native American thing and somebody was telling me about the struggle and trials and tribulations or whatever. Because during those exchanges, whether I was reading about them or experiencing them from a point of history, I was picking up some of the stuff that those heroes had to do and the skills that they had to develop that then became a reference point to me. So when I went into that work environment, I was doing those stepping stones and I was learning those soft skills. I had a built-in ingrained reference point that I didn't even know I had. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because you just showed me a ball that had archetypes on it. You are basically doing subliminal conditioning to some of that stuff.
Or tapping into what's already there.
That basically is building skills that people don't even know that they have ingrained that they will have to tap into, because going into that small, mail delivery and then growing through the ranks and all this stuff, a lot of those small jobs will no longer be available in the future as a learning path to get there.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm going to tell you, I love that point. So there's two things that I found in yourself and all successful people is that they constantly make seemingly impossible goals or make impossible goals, and they go after it with just an incredible amount of enthusiasm. I mean, fearless and reckless enthusiasm. And so I say that in terms of the human spirit. Those people will always exist. Now, to your point, and back to Hegel's dialectic materialism, they said the same thing about the oil lamp. When the light bulb came along, they said, oh, what's going to happen? We will no longer have the beauty of the oil lamp. When the computer came along and replaced the book. When the TV came along and replaced the radio. So these technology changes about every 40 years are going to occur. And the power, and this is my eternal optimism, is the power of the human spirit will always prevail. Is that we will find ways to AI, and then all of a sudden we're going to jump, and in 40 years we're going to be talking about something completely different that's going to make AI sound like a transistor radio. It's happened before. It started with the first stick, I think, that some caveman threw at a woolly mammoth. And I think that the power of the human spirit will always overcome and find a way to survive.
We're going to have to leave it, guys. We've got to leave it there. I can't go beyond 2 here today. Here, I know you want to keep going.
We're coming up on the hour. Thanks, Joe, for being there, man. I really appreciate you. Good to see you.
Always. Thank you, guys.
How do we find the OLLYBALL? Give us some websites and all that.
OLLYBALL.com. This is our newest one called Planet Earth. There is a whole, this is the Holy Grail right here. Go into any Target store, check online first because they're selling out. CVS, Walmart.com, Amazon.com, Safeway stores. I mean, we just keep signing them. We're going into Meijer stores. They're kind of everywhere. Just Google it and you'll find it.
All right, thank you. I know you could go. I hope you'll come back because you're just opening the door, and Raad will go. We got another hour.
With Joe Burke, it's a journey. So, the hero's journey. What's the next episode? I don't know. We'll see. But thank you for being here, my friend. I really appreciate spending time with you, and thanks for the opportunity. Congrats on all the success. Paul, thank you.
Okay.
Everybody who listened in, thank you very much. We'll see you next week.
I will sign off in Latin. Sine metu.
Wow.
Sine metu.
Wow. Okay.
Means without fear.
I like
without
that.
fear.
All right.
Yes, and it's on every Jameson bottle of whiskey.
You hit me
another
twice.
Another reason why I like the guy. There you go.
All right.
Come have a cup soon.
Will do. Cheers. See you guys.
Bye.
Now you know what's ahead. Join us on the journey as we try and explore how to live life to its fullest. Here on the Raad Life, every week on Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio, streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation Center.